All right, let's get right into it. We've all been told that trading is about finding that one perfect strategy, right? Or maybe it's about predicting what the market's going to do next. But what if I told you the real secret has nothing to do with any of that? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how professionals really think. And you might be surprised to find out that what you think matters, well, it probably doesn't.
So let's start with a pretty brutal fact. Around 90%, that's 9 out of 10 of people who start trading end up losing their money. Think about that. With all the books, all the indicators, all the strategies you can find online, the result for most people is still the same. It really makes you wonder, what are they all missing?
And that, right there, is the big question we're tackling. What if the reason for all that failure isn't a bad strategy at all? What if it's something much, much deeper? What if the key isn't about finding a better system, but about completely changing the way you approach the game itself?
And that brings us right to the first huge trap that almost everyone falls into. It's this endless hunt for the holy grail strategy. The one that's supposed to be perfect, the one that never loses. Well, here's the truth. Professionals know that's a complete fantasy. It just doesn't exist.
See, professionals don't hunt for perfect strategies. They focus on building and executing something called an edge. And an edge isn't just the rules you follow, it's the statistical advantage that only shows up after you follow those rules perfectly without emotion over and over again across a whole bunch of trades. And this is the fundamental difference in thinking. The amateur chases a strategy, the set of rules. The professional focuses on execution to let their edge play out. Think of it like this. The strategy is just the recipe, but the edge, that's what you get when you follow the recipe perfectly every single time. Without that consistent, disciplined action, even the best recipe in the world is useless.
Okay, so myth number 2 is just as common and just as dangerous. It's this idea that great traders are basically fortune tellers, that they have some kind of crystal ball that lets them see the future. I'm telling you, that could not be further from the truth.
You have to get this idea deep into your bones. The outcome of any one trade is totally random. It's basically a coin flip. You could do everything right and still lose. You could do everything wrong and get lucky with a win. Pros don't even try to predict a single outcome.
So here's the critical shift. The amateur is completely obsessed with the result of this one trade. Am I right? Am I wrong? Their emotions are on a roller coaster with every tick of the price. But the pro, they couldn't care less about this one trade. They're focused on their performance over the next 100 trades. They're not predicting, they're just managing probabilities. It's a totally different.
So if your job isn't finding a secret formula, and it's not predicting the future, what in the world is it? Well, now we get to the real work. And it all starts with the one and only thing you actually have control over: risk.
Now, this might sound completely backward, but it is the absolute bedrock of a long career in trading. A professional's #1 job is not to make money. It's to protect the money they have. Why? Because if you run out of capital, the game is over. Period. Doesn't matter how great your edge is then.
And the rules for doing this are actually pretty simple, and they are non-negotiable. First, you have to know the absolute maximum you're willing to lose before you even think about placing the trade. Second, you have to keep your bet size the same every time, so the stats can actually work in your favor. And third, and this is crucial, you make absolutely sure that no simple loss can ever take you out of the game.
I absolutely love this metaphor. Your trading account isn't just money, it's your inventory. It's the stuff you have on the shelves to sell. You know, a store can't do business if its shelves are empty, and a trader can't operate without capital. Your job is to protect that inventory at all costs.
Okay, so we've busted the big myths. We've established that risk management is job #1. But now we get to the final boss. The one hidden variable that controls everything else: your own mind.
The problem is, our brains are just not built for this stuff. We're hardwired with all these mental shortcuts or biases that are an absolute disaster in the market. You've got FOMO making you chase prices. You've got loss aversion making you hold on to a losing trade, just hoping it comes back. You get a few wins in a row and suddenly you're overconfident and start breaking all your rules. The trick is to realize these aren't bugs in your strategy, they are just features of being human.
And this all leads to the single most important mental shift you can possibly make. Amateurs are stuck in outcome-based thinking. Their mood, their sense of self-worth, it's all tied to their profit and loss statement. Professionals, on the other hand, use process-based thinking. The only question they ask themselves is, did I follow my rules? Their performance isn't money. Their performance is discipline.
Now, let that one sink in for a second. If you break your rules, maybe you risk too much or chase a trade, and you get lucky and make money, that is a failure. You've just taught yourself a bad habit. But if you follow your plan to the letter, your entry, your exit, your position size, and you take a loss, that's a success. You've just reinforced the discipline that actually builds your edge over the long run.
So how do we actually do this? How do we build that discipline? Let's break down a simple, actionable toolkit that the pros use to win this inner game.
This one is huge. Professionals do all their homework, their research, their analysis when the market is closed. When it's game time, when it's time to execute, they are not looking at the news, they're not second-guessing their plan. That separation protects their system from doubt and fear right when it matters most.
So here's your path, boiled down to 3 essential habits. 1. Journal every single trade. But don't just analyze the price. Analyze your behavior. 2. Build that wall between your learning time and your execution time. And 3. Every single day, judge yourself on how well you followed your process, not on how much money you made or lost.
And really, this one quote says it all. It perfectly captures the professional mindset. You don't need some crazy complicated system with 10 different indicators on your screen. What you need is a simple, solid plan that you can execute with absolute discipline, day in and day out.
So, at the end of the day, the real question isn't whether you're ready to trade the market. The real question is this: are you prepared to trade your own discipline? Because that's the only thing you're really trading. It's the only thing you can control, and it's the only thing that really, truly matters.